What is something you have always regretted doing? Dental hygiene. Had braces as a teen and neglected my teeth for the 20 years after except for yearly cleanings. Too many Mountain Dews and too many days of I'll just brush my teeth tomorrow turned into cavities and peeling enamel. You don't appreciate teeth not hurting until they are. Well, thanks, because now I'm really appreciating my teeth not hurting. Taking out loans to go to a traditional 4-year university. If I knew then what I know now, I would have just worked my way through community college, and there's a good chance I'd be exactly in the same spot as I am now regarding my career. The biggest difference would be that I wouldn't be in debt till I die. Wasting my time on toxic friendships. Never again. I also regret not ending my first relationship when I first wanted to, after year 1 instead of year 8. I can relate to this so much, except I ghosted my friends since I'm not good at confrontation, and I know if I bump into them, it's an argument waiting to happen. I know this is a relatively small thing, but when I was around 10 and I was on public transport with my dad one time, he said he'd like to read to me, but like the little crap I was at the time, not only did I focus on playing Lego Batman on my DS as he was reading to me, but I actually told him I was going to do that. The audacity. I've always been lucky that he was and still is the kind of guy who doesn't take that kind of stuff personally and was totally fine with this arrangement. But I just wish I gave his gesture anywhere near the respect it deserved. I rarely even looked at him as he read. Not doing internships in the summers during law school. Instead, I went straight through and graduated in 27 months. It was a mistake that limited my ability to get a job after graduation. An advanced degree without work experience isn't attractive to employers. Lots of people learn that the hard way. Not listening to my doctor's warnings and not taking care of my diabetes from 1525. Since March last year I have had an op to restore vision in my right eye, an op to do the same in my left, an op to reattach the retina in my left eye, and currently waiting to have another in my right eye to restore vision, and an op to remove the silicone oil that is currently holding the retina in my left eye in place. I was completely blind for 2 months and only now have a small amount of vision in my right eye. The left eye has just enough vision for me to walk around without hurting myself until the oil comes out. Listen to your doctors, kids. Not protecting my hearing. I'm 52 and have had tinnitus for 20 years now. I should have worn earplugs when mowing the grass, going to concerts or loud movies. I shouldn't have turned my Walkman up to 11. How do you deal with it now? I also think I'm starting to get it. The occasional ringing in the ears. I don't want to lose my hearing. Quit a college program for a girl. Just stopped showing. It wrecked my grades and took forever to complete my degree after. One of my friends has recently left a dream job in a country which they love to be with their partner. I can see some resentment and possible end of this relationship. When I was 10 and my sister was 7, I wanted to go play in the snow and none of my friends were out, so I invited her to play with me. She was super excited, but it was going to take her a while to get her snow clothes on and I was already dressed, so I said I'd wait for her out front. While waiting, a friend came by and invited to play and I went, not even thinking twice about my little sister. I came home an hour or two later to find out that she went outside and looked for me for a while and came in brokenhearted because I wasn't there. I'm in my late 40s now, and while she's never once brought this up, I think about it often and cringe and get pretty down about it. What a crap thing to do. I cannot imagine ever forgiving myself for it. If you're able to, you should try talking to her about it. Because you were so young, you may be beating yourself up over something that she doesn't even remember. When my parents split up, my mom had to raise us by herself and we were really poor. Eventually we had to get on food stamps to survive. My mom was devastated. She was a very proud woman and was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough and it absolutely crushed her to have to get assistance. It made her feel like a failure who couldn't take care of her own kids. I remember we were in the grocery store and getting ready to pay. She was going to use food stamps to pay and she was so ashamed that she turned to me and said, "If you don't want to stand in line with me, you don't have to." She was trying to spare me the embarrassment. So I didn't stand with her. I went off and looked at a toy or something. I remember looking back at her, She was sheepishly fixing her hair and trying not to look poor as she worked up the courage to face the cashier. I have regretted walking away so many times over the years. I was just a kid, but I wish I could go back in time to go stand next to her and tell her how proud I am to be her son and how thankful I was for the sacrifices she made just to keep food on the table for us. It honestly breaks my heart every time I think about it. Had a lump on my neck that ignored for a year. Ended up being stage 4 cancer. 13 years later and 4x battle. I'm still fighting. When I was in 8th grade, I saw my 6th grade brother walking down the hallway towards me and body slammed him as hard as I could into the wall. He limped away, ducked into an empty classroom, and started crying. I wasn't a violent kid and was generally a pretty good big brother. Immediately afterwards I just felt so freaking bad and had no idea why I did it. We're really close now, and I still apologize for it 15 plus years later. It honestly freaking haunts me that I did something so unnecessary and cruel to my own brother. Middle school age kids are the meanest. 1. Not purchasing a home I wanted when it was less expensive. 2. Getting married. 3. My career choice. Basically, almost all the important decisions one makes in life. This is very relieving and thank God I'm not alone in life. One afternoon I got mad at my mother. She had been prescribed an excess amount of narcotics, 90 days worth. For an addict like her, she'd finish that in maybe 2 days. I picked the prescription up and withheld it. Her doctor told me I was breaking the law, even though she was a known addict. I gave it back to her and refused to hang out at night. I'd go every night to sit with her and talk so she'd be doing something other than drugs or having crappy people over. But I was off. Next morning I was off. Nothing felt right. My grandmother and I stopped by to check on her. She was dead on the kitchen floor. Her friends came over and they started doing drugs. H-kits everywhere. Weed all over the table. And that dang bottle of pills. Her neighbor said at 2 AM a bunch of people hightailed it out of there. She had OD'd and they didn't help her. They just ran. Why the frick didn't I just go over there that night? Still bothers me even though I know I could never stop her from being addicted. If love could cure addiction, nobody would be addicts. My father died an addict, so I can relate to the pain. I'm sorry for your loss. I regret not doing a fuller investigation of career options before going to college or making the effort it would have taken to change course mid-career. I just retired from a career that was satisfying but probably not my best match. I understand the regret, but it sounds like you did well for yourself. A satisfying career is better than most people get. As a college senior, I was an advisor to this suite of freshmen. 3 of them played these stupid pranks on 2 of them for the entire school year. It started as jokes but it ended up just being harassment. Both of the harassed students transferred the next year. I tried to reason with the 3 pranksters harassers, but now, I regret not confronting them instead of trying to reason with them. At some point, if people are intentionally causing suffering, a harsh response is the correct response. I was just a dumb college 4th year, but I wish I had had the insight to do more. I regret and don't regret this one. I was 13 at a theme park with my class. It was our last day of school, so we went to a big park to ride some rides. For no particular reason, other than thinking I was funny, I kept telling kids in my class don't die as they would climb onto a roller coaster. Some kids looked scared, some laughed. Finally a 20-something guy with his girlfriend also in line turned to me and shouted, "Kid, shut the frick up." His girlfriend quickly tried to calm him down and said he's just a kid. Boy did he look pee. For me, it was like I had been slapped out of a trance. I thought, holy crap, annoying, best thing to ever happen to me I think. But dang do I cringe when I think about it. Dude, these slaps hit like a bus. One minute you feel great about yourself and the next you realize you're super annoying. Not take my brother's pleas seriously before he killed himself on H. I'm sorry for your loss. Losing a sibling is one of the worst types of pain. Please try not to be so hard on yourself. Not spending a lot of time with my dad. He died when I was 18 and before that I was too cool to hang out with him much. I regret it so much now. He technically died from kidney failure after 20 plus years with a heart transplant. I ended up needing a heart transplant 2 years after he died and had no one that could relate to what I was going through because he was gone, and I never talked much about his transplant with him. He also never even came to my high school graduation cause he was working, so he never really got to see me accomplish anything in life. I was just a stupid teen that was too cool to hang out with my dad, even though we did so much together when I was a kid. I miss him every day. Please spend time with your parents and loved ones, you never know how long they'll be there. About years 1826 is all regret. I try to tell myself that if I hadn't lived those experiences, I wouldn't have met and married my husband, so going back to undo things if I could, would actually ruin the life I have now. About 1623, now, for me, I haven't done anything, just sitting on my butt and working in the food service industry, finally starting college this fall, so I think I'm putting myself on a better path. Edit. Thank you everyone for the encouragement, really made my weekend. Never committing to a healthy relationship with food. Now I have snowballed a full-blown eating disorder and everything I eat makes me feel guilty. I'll go to conferences or collections of study sessions or something, and I'll be like, I'm going to go to X. Then, when X comes along, someone will ask me, so, you coming to X? And I'll be like, sorry, but I'm busy, when I'm probably doing nothing. I always regret it. They're always really interesting sessions with people I would have wanted to meet and learn from. And what did I accomplish from not going? Nothing. Motivation is honestly the hardest thing to obtain. I feel you completely. My favorite aunt got diagnosed with liver cancer. She was hospitalized for months, but I only visited a few times because it killed me seeing her so weak and full of tubes. I honestly thought she would recover, but she died on the operating table and I never got to say my goodbyes. I saw a film where the main character had a cool neck tattoo, so a week later I booked in to get something similar done. The tattoo artist was meant to be a professional, but it looks like he got lazy halfway through and really fricked it up. So for the past 6 years I've been stuck with 16 rather large black square boxes on my neck, which look like the Cornish flag when I wear a shirt. Now I'm going through laser therapy to get it removed. Now I can tell you, I've had my leg ripped off in a motorcycle crash and my arm crushed in another. I had to be given IV ketamine by the doctors as I was in that much pain. Laser removal hurts so much more. I'm only 4/10 sessions in, it's clearing up nicely, but dang it hurts. The tattoo cost £90. The laser removal so far has cost £600. This may sound odd, but saying yes over and over again to everything my parents want. It's really hard for me now to say what I really want because I was always like, yeah sure mom and dad, I'll do that so you are happy, instead of doing what made me happy. It's not odd. My dad actually stopped offering me advice for a while because he saw that I was like that too. I'd ask his opinion about something, he would just say do whatever you want. Another one. Wasting 2 years studying for crap I hate and leaving with no qualifications. Regret I'll carry for the rest of my life. Same here. I wasted getting a bachelor's in psychology to only barely pass getting out of college with maybe a 2.6 GPA. So I couldn't have even gone for a master's in anything if I wanted to, so I didn't. I made a whopping $9.50 an hour at a full-time job out of college working full-time. I only now make $20 at a full-time job and I'm just so stuck. I hate it. Regret not taking school more seriously and getting better grades. Regret not staying out of trouble. Regret not being smarter about money. Regret never living alone. Regret spending too much time with an ex and not enough time developing strong healthy female friendships. For what it's worth, I regret taking school too seriously. None of the good things in my life came from long, sleepless nights trying to get an A instead of a B or a C, and I have a hard time imagining what the quantifiable difference would be if I hadn't cared as much. I think I just developed an anxiety disorder. Staying in the waiting room while my kitty was euthanized. I don't like to say regret, because I did learn from the experience, but I got kicked out of school and sent to jail for fighting. It was day 1 of the phlebotomy program. There was a girl in my high school who sent her boyfriend a picture of her bare breasts. He immediately sent it to all his friends. They sent it to theirs. Even teachers saw it. People started calling her pepperoni nipples, and I once heard my drama teacher and his assistant singing the Oscar Mayer song reworded to be about her. She was a very popular girl up till this point, a cheerleader who ran with the rich kids, and I was the kind of teenager who assumed I was an outcast. I wasn't, and that everyone was out to get me. They weren't. Shortly after the nude pic event, one of our classes reassigned seating, and she and I were sat next to each other. She was so kind to me, friendly, even gave me a nickname. And she told me she went to a college party in the city and saw her picture printed and hung on the fridge at this party. She burst into tears and left. While I never made fun of her to her face, I absolutely joined in ridiculing that girl. I just wanted to be a part of the joke. I wanted to feel like I was part of the crowd. But all I succeeded in doing was perpetuating the harm done to her, a literal child who was being shamed and ogled by both her classmates and actual adults. We are friends on Facebook now, a good 13 years later, and she seems happy, but I still think about her and feel guilty. I hope she has a lovely life, and I hope that this kind of crap never happens to anyone else. That school needs a major staff clean out. Getting into debt. I can't see a way out. Feel so bad for you, man. Had an unexpected life situation come up this year that will actually allow me to eliminate all my debt, but the money didn't come in a happy way. Not going to go back there again. It is so easy to go there. I don't blame anyone who finds themselves in over their heads. Not being a better daughter to my mom before she passed away when I was 20 years old. I regret treating her badly and I feel guilt till this day. Being too friendly with my neighbor. Now she won't respect our boundaries. I found her in my house one morning when I got out of bed and went down to the kitchen. She's always asking us to watch her kids, but like, not even asking us. Just literally left her kid home alone and asked me if I could go watch her while she went to bring the other kid to school. I would have said no, but she just walked away and I wasn't about to leave a 2-year-old home alone. I guess she just assumed I would do it. We own. She owns. There's no way of putting an end to this without making things awkward. Once when I was 14, I was walking through my local park with some friends. This park had peacocks. As I was walking through with my friends, we spotted some peacocks with their babies. My friends started throwing oranges at them. They peer pressured me into joining them. I pick up a dirt clog because it was smaller and intentionally threw so I would miss. Instead, I hit a baby peacock and killed it. I just frozen the baby peacocks and the parent peacocks surrounded it. I began to feel remorse that God will not let me forget. I approached the peacocks and buried it while my friends simply went on with their lives. I'm 34 and that scene still plays in my head. I'm so sorry. That's awful. My first real relationship. 10 years. Nothing to show but bad social skills, no friends, and self-worth issues. However, I've recently found my perfect someone because of these events. It's a regret, but not something I'd change. Just handle differently if I could. Getting a biology degree kept me out of buying a house for 5 years. Not treating my anxiety issues in college may have actually made the rest of my life worse. Telling one of my closest friends that he should talk to someone else when he came to my house and told me he was suicidal. His ex that he was still very close with OD'd and he blamed himself for her death and he was in a really dark place and he came to my house in tears, literally crying for help, and in my moment of fear of losing him and trying to be a good friend, I told him he should talk to a mutual friend who was also close with the ex-girlfriend because I thought that could be more helpful. B didn't need a friend that understood, he needed a freaking friend. He just wanted someone he trusted to listen, and I could have killed him with that. Thankfully, he got help from our other friend, but I could have done so much more there. Given him a ride, something, anything other than turning him away. Even worse, my girlfriend I was living with at the time was an LCSW and she was home. I literally had a medical professional trained to deal with that situation 15 feet away, and the word sorry, I'm not sure I'm the guy that can be most helpful. Here are what my brain produced. What the actual frick? This guy literally worshipped me to the point he nicknamed himself after me and I failed him. I'm amazed any of those three talked to me after that day. It was incredibly naive and callow to do that, and I genuinely cringe every time I think about it, and have cried my fair share over the years thinking about it. B, wherever you are, Thanks for being stronger than me in that situation when you were at your weakest. I've done everything possible to be there for any friend that even hinted at that darkness since, and even self-hospitalized when I had my own moments of despair. My failure to your friendship was a life lesson that I've truly learned from, and if you ever wondered why I never reached out anymore, it's because of the guilt of that night. You're the best musician I've ever known, and I'm absolutely awestruck when you just pick up any instrument and play it like it's nothing. I'm so freaking sorry for not being the friend you deserved, and I hope you're achieving all your dreams, man. Driving too fast. When I was younger, I took a turn too fast and got into an accident and killed 2 people. I struggle to live every day knowing the pain that my actions caused. At age 7 or 8ish, after my birthday was winding down, I asked one of my dad's friends if he got me anything for my birthday. I was thanking everyone and wanted to make sure I thanked him. He said no. I felt like an butthole for asking and putting him on the spot. At age 16 or 17, I was driving in the city market parking lot, getting ready to park, and I saw a shopping cart. I decided to push it with my car for a moment, then stop and see it roll on its own. I pushed it right into a parked car. My friends in the car were not enthused. Very embarrassing moment of me acting like a jackass. If that ever happens to you again for some reason, hit him with the "you being here is gift enough." Emotionally scarring and traumatizing one of my siblings when we were much younger. I still haven't been able to muster the strength to bring it up and apologize all these years later, and it's rotted me out from the inside every single day, feeling cowardly, shameful, and horrified. Taking so long to get my crap together. Had I done it before 22, I would have stayed in my home country and been in a much better position in every single imaginable way. Instead, I put it off, flew halfway around the world still clinging to my parents like a child, and wasted 5 more years of my youth before I finally started doing what I needed to do. Now if I want to go back home, I'll have to give up everything I worked so hard for here and do it all over again, but instead of being an inexperienced 22-year-old, which in hindsight was barely noteworthy, I'll be a 30-year-old one. Better late than never, and it could be worse, I know, but frick do I regret being such a fricking idiot. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.